So PS5 owners and PlayStation fans in general have had a very interesting 2024 with lots of high points with things like Astrobot and lots of low points with things like Concord. It's been a very up and down roller coaster type year, and really one of the main questions that people have with Sony is, well, what are we doing? What does the near future look like? Now, allegedly, we are getting a State of Play presentation happening next week, but there's already rumors circulating around that with some game titles that have been potentially leaked and just a general feeling overall of what to expect from this State of Play, and it's one of those keep your expectations in line sort of thing. One of the things that Sony seems to be focusing on a lot seems to be remakes and remasters of games that, well, for many people, don't necessarily need them. So I kind of want to explore this topic, talk about the latest PS5 State of Play leaks as far as the games are concerned, and then try to make some sort of sense out of all of this. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Delete Me. Have you ever heard of data brokers? These are corporations that collect huge amounts of personal identifiable information, PII, and package it all together to create listings and profiles with your personal information attached to it, and then sell it to companies online, leaving you open to phishing scams, identity theft, and much more. You have the right to stay private and protect your data online, and that's where today's video sponsor, Delete Me, comes in. Delete Me combs the internet to see what sites and companies have access to your information and gets this data removed to you, adding to your privacy online. I was shocked to see all of the sites that they comb and found stuff for me personally, with 38 data brokers having my information, and Delete Me managed to handle all of this stuff for me and constantly monitors and repeats removal requests as needed. You can get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans right now when you go to joindeleteme.com/RGT85 and use promo code RGT85 at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/RGT85, code RGT85. There's also a QR code on the screen. Protect yourself online from these companies selling your data, and a huge thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. So when it comes to remakes and remasters, generally speaking, I like the idea as long as it's contingent on a few different things. I think timing the original release of the game and comparative to when the remake and remaster comes out is very important in this situation. If we're talking about something from the PS2, Xbox 360 era or backwards, then sure, I'm all for it. I'm getting better graphics, I'm getting a better gameplay experience, potentially more refined controls, and quality of life improvements that weren't maybe a mainstay of what these games were like back on the original releases of them. And of course, if it's a third-party company, like, that seems to be an easier pill to swallow for a lot of people. These are usually multi-platform games, and you're not necessarily buying a platform such as a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X strictly for third-party games. You're buying them for first-party. But when it comes to first-party remakes and remasters, that's where things get a little bit trickier. If you look at a company like Nintendo, they seem to be doing this all the time. At least they can kind of lean onto the fact that nobody bought the Wii U and you can't play Wii U games on the Nintendo Switch, but there are some egregious ones, such as Donkey Kong Country Returns HD for $60. You better be adding some new content into that game, or else I will continue to rail it, and I don't care if the comments disagree with me. I'm not interested in that crap. You can just play a Wii emulator. It's very easy. It takes 2 seconds, and you can get better visuals than are shown in this game. But I digress. We're talking about PlayStation today, and obviously they've done lots of different types of remakes and remasters, and really paths in order to get those. They used to do the upgrade path where, you spend $10 or something like that and you get the digital upgrade of the newer version of the game that was a game that had released on something like the PlayStation 4. But it seems like that's becoming a bit of a thing of the past. When you look at a game like Until Dawn, that game is going to be $60 with no sort of upgrade path. I'm a huge fan of Until Dawn. I'm not spending $60 to play the game again when I could just play it on the PS4 version with enhanced visuals. Now, the two main games we're talking about in today's video are, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn and allegedly the other remake remaster that's going to be at the Sony State of Play presentation. Now, when it comes to Horizon Zero Dawn, this game has been enhanced for the PlayStation 5. It already is enhanced. You can already play it at the best way possible. Now, the rumor is that they're going to be using the Forbidden West graphical assets in the game to make it kind of different and stuff like that. And I guess that is kind of cool. You know, obviously Forbidden West does have more advanced graphics than something like Zero Dawn did, but Forbidden West also came out on the PlayStation 4 as well. So, you know, it's like, how much of a massive leap is there actually going to be? Now, the pricing of this is going to be very important, I feel. This is a game that does exist. ESRB doesn't mess up and just rate games willy-nilly. If this game is going to be something like Until Dawn is at the $60 or potentially even higher price point, and you're not adding in additional content or stuff like that, what's the value here? I can go onto any website right now and buy the PlayStation 4 version of Horizon Zero Dawn for $10. It's all over the place. You can get the Game of the Year edition with DLC for like $20. And it's like, is there going to be enough incentive? This PlayStation 4 version, disc-based, will work on my PlayStation 5. But then again, that gets into a whole nother subject, and that's Sony trying to phase out the physical media thing. I did a podcast yesterday, and it was crazy to me just how many people were fine with digital distribution being the only way to buy video games. And it's like, if there's no competition, if there's no way to buy a game other than a company's direct store, why would they ever have an incentive to drop the prices of things? You see it now because there's physical counterparts out there. Even on PC, there are multiple places to buy games and buy game codes. It's not going to be like that with consoles because nobody's going to have access to this sort of stuff. But with Horizon Zero Dawn's remaster, I think that's really contingent on price point. Are you going to do an upgrade path, and are enough people going to be excited for this game? Now, the other remake, remaster, whatever, this one's completely out of left field because this is allegedly a game that Sony didn't love to begin with. It's a game that they felt didn't do well enough to the point of where they canceled the sequel to it. But allegedly, this is getting a remaster, and I'm talking about Days Gone. Now, Days Gone was a controversial game when it came out for a myriad of reasons. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I did play it for a little bit. I thought it was okay. I was kind of over the whole zombie world thing at that point in time. It felt like every game was kind of similar to that. But Days Gone is a more interesting situation because unlike Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone is playable on the PlayStation 5 with enhanced visuals, and it's available on PlayStation Plus. So if you have a PlayStation Plus subscription so that you can play your PlayStation games online, you can access this game for nothing, for no additional cost. Once again, this is another cheap game that you could just go out there and buy right now physically and play it on your disc-based PlayStation 5 system. So I have to question, you know, PlayStation 4 games that already look great, that already run great on the system, is it worth doing these remakes and remasters? Is this going to hold over gamers as they wait for the newer entries of franchises and newer IPs to start dropping for PlayStation 5? When we're talking about this state of play presentation, everyone is saying keep your expectations in line, keep your expectations low, because there's not going to be much first party stuff here. And it's like, well, what the hell's the point of doing this? Unless you have some third-party exclusive stuff going on here, which Sony has been leaning into to fill out some of the gaps in their lineup when the first-party games aren't there, what is the point? Like, why are you not making first-party games? Now, a lot of people are going to think that I'm saying that these remasters are taking up time for Sony, but I don't necessarily even think that. I think these are being done by smaller studios within Sony just to kind of get their feet wet with stuff, and they're studios that probably weren't working on anything to begin with. It's not your mainline studios that are going to be working on these sorts of projects. But then you have to question, well, what are those mainline studios doing? I'm not saying that this is a doom and gloom situation for Sony. People can buy whatever they want to buy. If they want to buy this upgraded version of Horizon Zero Dawn, I mean, go right ahead. Maybe you didn't play it on the PlayStation 4 and you want to play the best super version available that you can. I do understand that, but how many people are going to be willing to spend that extra money when you look at the economy, when they could play the game, get the pretty much same experience from it, still get a great experience, and pay a fraction of the price that Sony is probably going to charge for this? Once again, I don't think this is a bad thing. I like remakes and remasters as long as there are newer games to sort of surround those things. If they're just used as a stopgap, it becomes a little bit more questionable. You usually see remakes and remasters at either the start or the end of a generation. That's where you see most of them come into play. But when it's in the middle of the generation, when things are supposed to be thriving and new games should be coming out left and right, it becomes a little bit more of an interesting situation. But like I said, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer with this. People are going to buy what they want to buy. But in the current economy, when you could get a cheaper thing, and it pretty much is the same thing, you know, how are you going to wow people? And are there too many remakes and remasters of PS4 games coming out to PlayStation 5 when we should be focused on the new experiences and the new games? That's a question I pose to you. So let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. Where do you stand on this? Are you interested in picking up Days Gone or Horizon Zero Dawn with the new PS5 versions of the game, or are you happy with the PS4 versions running on the PlayStation 5? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to check out the links in the description box down below. Check out Delete Me. Very crazy app. It finds a lot of stuff on you that's out there that probably shouldn't be out there. And of course, check out the Art of N64 Wrestling Games book. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.